President Trump has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal over a letter that the paper says Trump allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. That's as his administration takes steps to show the public more material related to Epstein's criminal case. ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin is following our top story here.
The Department of Justice now officially asking the courts to unseal those grand jury transcripts in the case of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It's a move that makes good on a recent promise from President Trump as he tries to find an off-ramp and tamp down some of that outrage coming from within his own base over his administration's handling of the case. Trump saying, quote, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I've asked the Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony, subject to court approval. But the critics say grand jury transcripts are not enough.
Here's the problem. The grand jury testimony is largely about Epstein and Maxwell, not about all the rich and powerful men who abused, assaulted, and abandoned young women. Those people are still being protected.
ABC's Mary Bruce with the president.
Mr. President, why haven't you ordered Pam Bondi to release the full files?
The DOJ acknowledging in its filing that their request followed, quote, significant public interest ever since they released that memo almost 2 weeks ago saying a review found no evidence that Epstein kept a client list. Trump's base erupting given some of Trump's own supporters have embraced various Epstein conspiracies. That directive from Trump, of course, coming just hours after the Wall Street Journal reported on a letter Trump allegedly wrote to Epstein in 2003 for Epstein's 50th birthday. ABC News has not confirmed the existence of the letter, and Trump denies he wrote it, now filing a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the paper and its owner, Rupert Murdoch, saying the letter is, quote, non-existent. Dow Jones, the parent company of the Wall Street Journal, saying in a statement they have, quote, full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit. It's not clear how much new information actually exists in those grand jury documents, and it's still likely to be a long and complicated road until any of them are actually released. And that's if they ever are. There now will likely be hearings for a judge to consider the legal arguments and critically weigh the potential impact this could have on any victims. Gio.
All right, Olivia Rubin, thank you so much. For more on this, let's bring in Dave Aronberg, who's the former Florida State Attorney for Palm Beach County. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with the president suing the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch for defamation. What's your take on this? Is the president now opening himself up to questioning about the Epstein case?
Yes, he is, Gio, but it's not going to get that far because this lawsuit was never meant for the courts. It's meant for all of us. It's meant for the court of public opinion. It's meant for his MAGA base because now he can say, you see, that story was so false. I filed a multi-billion dollar defamation suit against Rupert Murdoch and his publication. But that lawsuit's not going anywhere because it opens Trump up himself to depositions, to discovery, and he's not going to get anything out of it. He just wants the press. It's about the show, not the go. So expect this lawsuit to be dismissed at some point in the near future, well before the discovery obligations begin.
Also here, the DOJ is now asking a federal judge to unseal grand jury testimony from the Epstein case. Do you think the court is likely to unseal it? And do you think that it contains enough to quiet the critics and conspiracy theorists?
The judge may, and it's going to be risky, but he may release some of the grand jury transcripts. But this is a legal battle that could take time, and it's rare that this is the type of thing that would be released. But because it's such an extraordinary case, perhaps the judge in his inherent power can do so. But remember, this is just grand jury transcripts, and even then, it's just the pertinent ones. And what is pertinent? Well, it's going to be up to the Pam Bondi and the Trump administration to decide what's pertinent. And this is just a portion of a portion. We're talking about just what was going into the charges against Epstein. It doesn't relate to the larger file, the names of all the Johns that perhaps young girls were trafficked to. So this is not going to satisfy anyone. This is not what the base is clamoring for. They want the Epstein files. This is just a small portion of that.
So this has really put the AG Pam Bondi, obviously, you open up any social media platform and you start seeing people who are attacking her. She's in a difficult spot now. You know her personally. How do you think she's handling this from a legal perspective?
Well, she's in a tough position because her colleagues, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, they rose to power through this conspiracy theory, and they all overpromised, and now it's time to deliver, and the goods are not there. And Attorney General Bondi also overpromised when it came to these documents. They get caught up in the moment, but now they're ravenous, conspiracy-fueled supporters. They want it all, and what they want is a client list, which does not exist, and they want proof that Epstein was murdered, which he didn't get killed by someone else. He killed himself. And so they're not going to get what they want. And the problem is you've got these people who are not going to take no for an answer. Unless you give them Bill Clinton's head on a platter, they're going to revolt. So they're in a no-win situation. And the problem really is her own people. Bongino and Patel, Donald Trump Jr., they fed this monster, and now the monster has turned on them.
All right, Dave Aronberg, thank you so much for your insight. We so appreciate it. And we thank you for joining us here on ABC News.